play?
White to play and win. It's mate in two.
Siddharth, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, so first you try solving this. Once Nikhil is done, then you tell me.
Nikhil is.
This is mate in two. For intermediate guys, we have seen this problem. This is from a game, Morphy's game.
Yeah. Nikhil, you have to say the solution. Tell sir. What is the
I've
first
got
move?
the solution. Wait for 2-3 minutes.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
others also attempt.
Okay.
I'll ask you.
Okay, fine.
So solved.
Solved. Okay, wait for 2 minutes. You can message. Okay.
Can we message you?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see.
1 minute.
So solved.
Okay, wait.
One second. What is the first one?
There are a couple of people who are on mute. Okay. And okay. So let's start with who wants to go first? Netra, have you been able to do this?
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
So done.
Okay.
So
Vihan, you are wait. So Vihan, you can tell us what you thought about it.
Sir, so first queen b8, giving a check.
Okay.
Then the king is no other way. So knight b8.
Correct.
And then rook d8 is mate.
Yeah. So see, this we have already seen. These are the last two moves of Morphy's game, the famous Opera House game. So I just set up this position so that we will go through that game in quite detail. We have discussed that in the intermediate class, but we are going to take a deep dive in that and try to discuss the finer points of it. So the last two moves, if you go to your book in the Play Better Chess, you have this learn from the champions, right? So the game which we are discussing is the game which is mentioned on page number 52. This is the Opera House game. This is one of the famous games of Paul Morphy. So we'll discuss the game, and I will also send you a video clip of Bobby Fischer. He has annotated this game. He has discussed this game, and so we'll discuss the game from beginning. I have read from multiple sources. So this is a very beautiful game. It shows how to attack, how to build an attack, how to create an initiative. Okay. So let me start from the beginning and we'll discuss the game. I'm muting all of you. So what we'll do is when I will ask a question, then I will let me first mute all of you. So others also got the same answer. Were you able to solve it, or you were somewhere stuck?
Sir.
Nikhil, you also got the same answer, or you got something else?
Same answer.
Same answer. Anyone else apart from Vihan who was able to solve it? Sashi, were you able to solve it or you are not able to solve this?
Yeah, I see. You say louder. Nikhil saying he also got.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, he got it. So wait, what I will do is I will put everyone on mute and then I'll start explaining the game from beginning. Okay. So 1 second. How do I mute? So you can mute yourself also. You are able. You can you mute yourself? One minute. So let me start with the game. Let me go from the beginning, and you guys, you can mute yourself when I'll ask you a question. Then you can tell. Okay. Okay. So 1 second. New game. So this game is Morphy was white, and these two guys. There were two guys. One was a duke, and the other was a count. They were in discussion. Okay, they were in consultation. So this was a friendly game. But this game is very good in how you will see how Morphy builds an attack. Okay, so it started with king pawn opening e4 e5. I mean, this was about 150 years back, and that time the opening theory had not evolved so much. So they generally used to play only the king pawn opening, only e4. Unlike now, where people play d4, c4, knight f3, and I mean, the opening theory is so rich, so they play all these different types of openings. Okay, but that time people used to play the king pawn opening only. So mute all. I'll just mute all of you. Okay, so black responded with e5, and white developed the knight to f3, attacking the pawn on e5. So, see, the current theory is that you should, the better move which grandmasters nowadays play, they play knight c6 or knight f6, either of the two moves. They either play this is a counter-attacking move. This is called the Petrov defense. The other possibility is to play knight c6, defending the pawn. So that is two different approach. Both are quite in vogue right now. Both are played. So what we are going to do is, but that time they played a slight. Yeah. 1 minute. Can't make you. Okay, so black played d6. D6 is a slightly passive move. We'll see the problems associated with d6 in the game. So d6 is called the Philidor defense. So that time, 150 years back, d6 was played, and it is a very passive opening. We'll see how how the game developed. So what do you think? I mean, I'll tell you what the purpose of d6 is, to defend the pawn on e5. That is obvious, right? So that is the key purpose of this move. Now you are defending the pawn on e5. So the most testing move for this setup is, see, you can play knight c3, but that is a developing move, but that doesn't create a threat. So in a game, if you see the grandmaster's game, and every move should create some threat, or it should create a threat about 3 moves down the line. I mean, there should not be a move which doesn't have a plan associated with it. So knight c3 is not bad. That is decent move. But d4 is a testing move for black because it creates a threat. So I will unmute you who can tell me what is the threat in the position. Let me okay, so I am unmuting you all. So tell me, who can tell what is the threat in the position?
Why is it a threatening position? He's asking d4.
Okay, when you want to speak, then only you unmute yourself. Okay. So anyone has an idea why? What is the idea of? So suppose black plays a weak move like a6. So what will white do? Can someone tell me what is the white's idea? You have to understand why this is a testing move for black, right? So if black plays a6, how will white respond?
Sir, I know.
Yeah. So Mitra, you can tell us.
White plays d cross e5.
Yeah.
Black plays d cross e5.
Yeah.
Then when you do queen d8, black does king cross d8 and his king cannot castle.
Not only that, you capture the pawn on e5. The central pawn is lost here. See, the pawn on e5 is defended by the pawn on d6, right? So when you capture d cross e5, and black captures back, then you exchange the queens, the king captures, and you get the pawn on
Then you
e5.
take.
So basically, you are going to lose a central pawn, and losing a pawn material from the opening itself is very bad. I mean, at your level, people lose pieces and they are hanging pieces all the time. But the grandmasters or strong players, they don't want to lose any material. If they lose material, there has to be compensation for that. Yeah, Netra.
Sir, they can be a fork in the next move.
Yeah. So black will prevent that. So basically, you lose a pawn. So that is a threat in the position. So a6 is a bad move. Is definitely a bad move. The actual theory is you either play knight d7, yeah, or you play knight f6. 1 minute, I'll mute you guys. Whose sound is there? Sound coming. One second, let me mute you guys some more. How do I mute? Okay. So just keep your microphone on mute. When you want to say, then only say. Otherwise, don't. Okay. So knight f6, knight d7, or even this is also played. Okay. So, but black played bishop g4. His idea is that he's spinning the knight and thereby controlling e5. So that is the idea, that the knight cannot capture the pawn on e5 because it is pinned. But here also white can go ahead and capture the pawn because he will exchange the queens, right? So if black just captures back here, he loses a pawn anyway. Even though you're pinning the knight, it doesn't help because the queens are traded. And once the queens are traded, then you take the pawn on e5, right? So the pin thing is not working because he's trading the. I mean, if you capture back, he trades the queen, and then the queen is not there. So the pin funda doesn't work, right? If the queen itself is not there, then there is
it's not a pin.
Yeah, so it's not a pin. So that's why when white starts with this pawn move, black is forced to capture the knight, bishop cross knight. In this way, he's protecting the pawn, right? Because you eliminate the knight, which was going to capture the pawn one move down the line, right? So you capture the knight, and white captures the bishop, and black captures this. Okay. So this is the position, and now white plays bishop c4. It's very obvious that he's threatening a mate on f7, right?
Mate.
Yeah. So what should black play now to prevent the mate? Obviously, he has to prevent the mate. Otherwise, the game is over. If he doesn't do anything about f7 square, then there will be a mate next move. So what would you play in this position? First think for a minute, then tell me what you want to play and why. You understand the white's threat. White wants to checkmate, deliver checkmate on f7. So as black, what should you be doing and why?
Sir,
Yeah,
So knight h6.
you want to play knight f6. Why?
So knight h6.
Knight h6 doesn't help. I will eliminate the defender. See, this type of concept.
Oh
We
yeah,
have,
the bishop is there.
knight h6 is the concept is removal of the defender. You will remove
Yeah, the bishop.
you will remove the knight and then you will deliver the mate next move. So this is a piece down position, right? Black has to
Sir?
play. Yeah, 1 minute. Black has to play queen e7 now. Knight h6 is definitely a very weak move. You will play a piece down position then, right? So knight h6 cannot be played. What can you play? Yeah, Rehan, any
Sir?
idea?
Sir, QE7.
Q e7 you want to play. Okay, that is also a decent move. Queen e7 can be played. What about knight f6? What do you think is the problem with knight f6? You think it's a good move, bad move?
Sir, it's a good move
Okay, why?
because it blocks the queen from reaching F7.
Okay. What, Haransh, what do you think, or what others think about this?
What do you think? Say.
It looks like a natural move and it develops a piece also, right? So it appears that it should be a good move, but actually it's a weak move. Queen F, yeah, I will tell you the reason. Queen F6, Queen E7 or Queen D7. These are the moves which are better than Knight F6. Knight F6 is immediately losing. We'll discuss that. Queen D7, Queen E7, if you play, you're blocking the bishop. So that is why Queen F6 or Queen D7 is preferred, even though both lead to superior position for white in the long run. So I'll tell you why Knight F6 is bad. Anyone can tell, can anyone figure out why is this bad? This is a bit tricky. White has a very strong move, Queen B3. Attacking F7 and attacking B6 at B7 at the same time. So this
So we discussed this at some time.
yeah, we have discussed this game. In intermediate, I've discussed. So this is a double attack. You are attacking F7 and B7 at the same time. So you can call it a fork or a double attack. So essentially, you are attacking two pieces at the same time. They happen to be pawns. So that's why it's very good for white. And in fact, black has to play. If you make a weak move, you get checkmated. You play A6. Who can find the mate in 2? Can you see the mate in 2 now? A6 cannot be played. A6 is a blunder. Is a very, very weak move. Rather than A6, suppose he
Sir, I
defends.
found it.
Yeah, suppose he plays B6. Yeah, Netra, what is
Sir,
the move?
I found it.
Sir, bishop cross f7.
Okay.
Check.
Yeah,
King moves to e7.
yeah.
And then queen e6.
Not E6. Yeah, Queen E6. So whether you play Bishop F7 is if the F7 pawn falls, you are getting mated. Whether you go here, King E7.
Yeah, d7 is also checkmate.
Yeah, both the places you are getting checkmated with here. With Queen E6, you are getting mated, right? So whether you play here, it's mate here, right? So, okay, so you will defend the F7 pawn. That is for sure. Between the 2 pawns, F7 and B7, F7 pawn is much more crucial. It is surrounded, it is in the vicinity of the king. And if you lose that pawn, there's a massive attack on the king and you will get checkmated also. So you will defend the F7 pawn as compared to b7 pawn, right? Now you understand the difference. You should not defend b7 pawn. b7 pawn, even though you are losing the rook, but it doesn't matter. Here you are getting checkmated. If you lose this pawn here, you're getting checkmated, right? If you play b6 here, you're getting mated. Bishop f7, king e7, and then queen e6, right? Or even if this check, you play king d7, then also queen e6 is made. Okay? So in the game, they played queen e7. So what do you think between queen d7 or queen e7, which one is better?
Queen d7.
First think. I mean, you cannot answer. It's not intuition. It is calculation. You cannot just intuitively feel the position and tell queen e7 is better or queen e7 is better. Which one is better and why? You have to tell me why. Okay, if you just guess, then it doesn't help. Bihan, any idea?
Sir, I think queen d7 is better.
Sir,
Why?
even I was thinking.
Okay, your answer. Okay, can you tell us why queen d7 is better?
Because it
Sir,
does not
block the bishop.
Yeah.
Okay, so Netra, what do you think? Queen d7 or queen e7?
Queen d7, and I was with the same reason.
Okay, Sashi, what about you?
Queen d7.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else has some other opinion? Aransh, what about you? Nikhil? Who else is there? Ridhima, Ashini, anyone else? Okay, so they have some reason, but see, chess is a game of concrete calculation. Okay, so queen d7 is bad because I will take the b7 pawn and see, when you play queen d7, I take your pawn on b7, right? So what is your plan after that? Netra, what is your plan after that? First tell me.
Sir, to eliminate the rook.
No, black's plan. You were planning to play queen d7, right? So you had to calculate once white plays queen b7, how will you respond to that? What is your plan? How will you save your rook there?
I can't save the rook.
See, if you play the move queen c6, thinking you are trying to save the rook here, then white has the move bishop b5. And you lose your queen here. Right? You see that? There's a pin here, you lose your queen. So that is why queen d7 is an inferior move. Now, if you play queen d7, queen e7, this is better. Why? Once I take the pawn, you have a check here. A very strong check by which you force the exchange. You force the exchange of the queens, right? There's a check to the king. There's a check to the king and the queen is also threatened. So white is forced to trade the queens, right?
Yeah.
This way is like you're just pawn down. Even though it is very difficult for black to survive this position, but queen e7 is much superior to queen d7. Did everyone understand the difference?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Even
sir.
though it blocks the bishop, but still you have to defend perfectly. If you play queen d7, you lose immediately. Queen e7 is with the hope that I will trade the queens. Okay, And in fact, queen e7 is a much stronger move as compared to queen d7 because of the reason I've explained. When you play queen d7, not only you lose the d7 pawn, but you also lose the rook in the corner, right? This you understood, right? Pardon me?
So you lose the queen also.
Yeah, no. If you play queen c6, you lose the queen. But suppose you are okay with losing the rook, I mean, you should not lose the queen. That will be even worse.
Yeah.
But in any case, you are losing either the rook or you are losing the queen for a bishop. You lose the queen and the knight. So it's a lost position there. So that is why, see, you have to, even though you are blocking the bishop, but you cannot have generalizations in chess. You have to calculate every time and you have to arrive at the solution. Otherwise, chess would be very simple, right? You have some 50 rules and you just follow, and then it will be a very simple game. There are exceptions to the rules all the time. So that is why queen e7 is much, much better, okay? So everyone understood this point, right?
Yes.
Haransh, did you understand this? Haransh and
Yes,
Nikhil.
sir.
Okay, so let's move to the next. Black plays queen. Actually, black played queen e7, which is a decent move. If white takes the pawn on b7, black has a way to rescue himself. He can just exchange the queens, and he's a pawn down, which is very difficult to hold, but still holdable. Okay. So in this position, white has a very strong move, which I mean, white has a good move where he can get 2 pawns up. But I mean, I was listening to another analysis of a grandmaster, and probably I don't know whether Morphy might have missed the thing that he can play the position with 2 pawns up. Rather than a pawn up, he can play the position with 2 pawns up by playing bishop f7. And what is the idea? Now when you play queen f7, you do not have access to the b4 square, right? Now I will take the pawn on b7. And the rook falls. You do not have, the queen cannot fly from f7 to b4 and give a check and a trade and force the trade of the queens, right? So that is why bishop f7 was much, much superior. When you play bishop f7, black can take here. I mean, black should not take there, because if he takes there, he loses the rook there, right? So he has to play king e7, king d8, and then you take the other pawn also. Now black forces the trade of the queens, but he is 2 pawns down. See. If you compare that position with the other one where you are 1 pawn up, here you are 2 pawns up, right? Do you understand the difference? Tashi, now you see,
Yes, sir.
you can see the difference. White has 7 pawns, black has 5 pawns. 7 minus 5, you are 2 pawns up. This is easily winning. So this was another winning line which was there. But white went for something which is more, I would say slightly more complex, but that is also correct. He understood black's plan that he wants to trade the queens. So he developed the knight. Now, if you see, he's developing the pieces very rapidly and black is lagging behind in development, right? So that is a sign that trouble is going to come very soon. So knight c3 he played. Okay, so can we go back and we'll continue this game, or I want to show you some deviation from the move. Suppose black plays queen f6. Okay, we'll come back to knight f6 in the actual game. I want to show you another game Bobby Fischer played in the simul against 2 players. Queen f6 is much, much superior. Okay, people learned from the previous mistake and then they switched to queen f6. I'll show you Bobby Fischer's game that is quite beautiful. I've shown it in the intermediate. I want to just show it again and want to see whether they remember the lines or not. Queen b3, attacking b7, b6, protects that pawn, right? Knight c3, white develops another piece, just like the Morphy's game. Now if you see, yeah.
Almost all the pieces are developed.
Yeah, pieces are, black is lagging behind in development. Black played another move c6. The c6 move is to prevent the knight from hopping to d5 or b5. Okay, so basically you want to prevent the knight to hopping to d5.
वॉल्यूम कैसे आता है लैपटॉप पे?
d5. Okay. White played a very strong move, bishop g5. His idea is that if you capture the bishop, see, strong players, when you see the move, they can at times give up a free piece.
Okay, yeah.
If you take the free piece, the idea
You
is
take
I will get the knight,
one,
bishop f7,
and then you get
then you take the knight because the knight is protected by the rook, but I have a queen also. There's a battery here, right? So I get the pawn, extra pawn, and your king has lost the right to castle. It is exposed in the middle of the board, and this is a very strong position for white. Okay, so black, he played queen g6. He didn't take the bishop. He didn't want to lose the pawn and expose his king. Now black played rook d1, threatening a mate on d8, right? That is black's threat. So now I have a question for you. I'll come to Bobby Fischer's game, but I have a question I had asked in the intermediate also. Suppose black plays knight e7. Now you have to calculate, it is not a mate, it's a 2 or 3 move combination. How will you win from this position? It's not a mate, it is some material advantage. Intermediate guys, I have shown you this. Netra and Sashi have shown you this position. Fight to play and win. Okay, I'll go ahead and show this because this is quite beautiful.
So like
Bishop f7, okay? Forking the king and the queen. Now the queen takes, okay? This is forced. And then you play brilliant move rook d8. King takes, and then you take the queen.
you get the queen.
Yeah, so basically you are not too much ahead in material, but you got a pawn and a queen for a rook and bishop. So still you are a couple of points ahead, and this is winning here. Okay, so this is the position. I mean, this was the position which I had created on my own. Actually, in Bobby Fischer's game, the opponent played bishop e7. Okay, and then he did the same idea. Bishop captures, knight captures, bishop f7, queen f7, and then
Rook d8.
rook d8, and
King cross.
you get the queen. Okay, so this was what happened in the Bobby Fischer's game. This I created that, okay, you can play knight e7, but you win using the same idea. So that is another thing. See, some people, what they will do when they play bishop f7 and queen f7, they will exchange the queens here. That is quite disadvantageous for white. White will lose the game if he exchanges the queen. But he has a check here, and it deflects the king from defending the queen on f7. Okay, the king is deflected from protecting the queen. He captures the rook, and you lose the queen in the process, right? So that was how Bobby Fischer finished his opponent, like this way. In their game, bishop e7 happened. Capture, capture. So the same idea works here also, right? What is the correct move here? Rook d8.
Rook d8.
Okay. So Sashi and Netra had shown you this position, but you are not able to solve, right? So, okay. So this is how the game between Bobby Fischer happened. Bobby Fischer and some opponent. I mean, they were playing a simul, not a grandmaster. Let's get back
So
to the
what is a simul?
Simul is he was playing with about 15-20 people. So actually in the game, knight f6 was played, which is very weak move. So queen b3 was played on a6, queen e7, knight c3. We had reached this position, right? Now black plays c6. c6 is defending the pawn laterally. It is defending the pawn on b7. And now white develops another piece. Bishop g5. Bishop g5 is hitting the knight. And if you see, white is quite ahead in development and black pieces are paralyzed. His rook is stuck in the corner. This rook is stuck in the corner. The knight is also not developed. The bishop is blocked. So he's in a very bad position. Yeah.
So what's paralyzed?
Paralyzed is like he cannot move anything, right? His pieces are immobile. You see black's pieces, they are quite immobile right now, isn't it? So, okay, so black actually is in a very bad situation. He played a move b5, which is quite weak here. So actually, okay. So after b5, what do you think? How should white react to this?